Just stop for a second. Go ahead. Let's go this speed all the way around the circle drive. Assalamu alaikum. So today I thought it might be interesting to discuss a few challenges involved with living off-grid, how we live. Um, I'd say maybe like 2 years ago, I met a family that was interested in um, basically seeing how we live, and they came and stayed with us for a week. And I just kind of the other day was thinking about that experience. It was quite an experience for us as well as them, obviously. But I made a list of 10 things that I thought that seemed kind of difficult for them to adjust to when they first came out here. Them coming directly from the city. Um, I think they came from somewhere near Detroit, like a suburb of Detroit. I'm not sure exactly what area, like Farmington Hills or what area, but it came from a suburb near Detroit, so a larger city, a lot more heavier population than we have here. And I could tell on day one, by the look on their face, they really were in for a surprise on a few things. So I'll go over a list of the 10 things that I think were the most difficult. And another thing for somebody that's interested in living off-grid, these are probably 10 initial basic necessities that you would need if you wanted to live off-grid. These are going to be 10 things that you're going to have to figure out how to solve on your own. And it might be something that you've never thought about in this light. So hopefully this video is enlightening to you and gives you something to think about, maybe a chuckle. So we'll start with number one. So number one, I'd say the number one thing people really have an issue with is the outdoor bathroom facility. I think that some of it has to do with I don't know, I want to say a stereotype maybe. Like they feel that because it's an outdoor toilet, it must really just be disgusting. So a lot of them don't even want to, try to use it, and then obviously there's nowhere else to go. So what do you do, But we try to keep ours very clean, and we you know, use like scented candles in here, and we got fly tape to keep the flies out. Got a heater in the wintertime. Um, so it's just, you know, it is what it is. You got to use the bathroom somehow, somewhere, and so we just try to keep it as clean as possible. I guess I don't know what else to say on that. I mean, if you want to live off grid, there are other options. You could use a composting toilet. Some of my friends do use a composting toilet, but in general, I think most people just prefer the outhouse because you don't have to. They prefer the outhouse because you don't have to empty the bin or pail or whatever. So that's my biggest thing. I just think that's really a disgusting job, and I'd rather just use the outhouse than have to dump a pail every week or whatever. So anyways, I think that's the number one most difficult thing is the bathroom facility for most people, and they just when they first came, they didn't want to use it at all, and they would get in their car and drive to town and go to McDonald's bathroom, which we just thought was so funny. You know, why go through all that just to use the bathroom? But like I said, we really have relatively little odor. Sometimes if it rains a lot, it will smell a little bit, but we try to put stuff in there to keep the odor down, and like I said, we use deodorizers, and we try to keep it clean, just like you would a regular bathroom. We clean it, sweep it out, and, you know, it's not really that bad. It's just something that I think is in people's head that, you know, an outhouse must just be disgusting, and there's no way it could possibly be anything other than that. So like I said, it's up to beauty's in the eye of the beholder. To me, I'd much rather do that than have to you know, empty a pail. So but yeah, I guess that's probably the number one thing that most people, they can't really believe that people are still in this day and age are still living on a situation with no running water, and you know, using an outhouse. It's just absurd. And that was one thing that I think really shocked them. You know, a lot of people think it's just fun, and you know, but it's real life for us. So the second thing is the bathing, the way that we take a bath. We don't have a regular you know, modern type shower where you can just jump in and turn the knobs and you got instant hot water. So all our hot water has to be heated, either on the wood stove, or we do have a propane burner that we use for heating water and cooking some things. So what we would do is heat the water on the stove in a kettle, and then we would pour the hot water, warm water, into this vase, and you have a towel, and you have soap, and you just pour when your water's cool enough, you pour it into the basin, and you know, that's pretty much how it works. And you would take a bath that way, wash your whole body, fill this basin up, you know, maybe a quarter full of water, and use the soap and wash your whole body, and dry yourself off with a towel. And that's how we would normally do it. Normally we would do it every day, like, you know, first thing, part of our religion actually, first thing in the morning before sunrise we would pray. So every single day we would wash with water. 5 times a day we would wash for prayer, and then we usually would take a complete bath once or twice a day, sometimes in the morning and sometimes in the evening before bed. Especially in the summer, we would do it twice. morning and evening before bed. So the ones that stayed with us, they saw this as kind of a lot of work, and they at first they didn't want to do it. I mean, I heard all kind of excuses. Sometimes they said, "Well, I don't think we could really get clean doing that," and so they didn't want to do it. But after a while, they really needed a bath, so they had to do it. And I think once they did it a few times, it wasn't as bad as they thought. Once you get the hang of it, you can do it in a couple minutes and be clean. Um, the other thing, we do have a gravity flow shower um, that we use, and that because we don't have any type of hot water heater or anything, that's more uh, nicer to use in the winter because the house is warm in the ceiling, and that heats the tank, so you have really nice bath water, and it's just like a water hose with a spray nozzle. And we have a tub that we stand in, and then just use the hose and basically take a shower that way. So that would be the second way. But that one, we would reserve that like before we go to service or something. We try to preserve the water as much as possible because we just have holding tanks. So once those run out, that means we got to get gas to turn the well on and run more water. And I'll show you in a minute more how we do that as well. But those are our main basic two methods of bathing, is primarily on a daily basis with the wash basin, and then we would use the water hose and stand in a tub and kind of take a shower that way. Um, but like I say, if the house is not warm, that could be cold in the winter. Usually the house is always warm, and in the summertime it could be a little chilly, depending on, if it's 70 degrees outside, it might be a little cooler than that in the house if the fire's not going. So then it would be chilly to use the water hose. And I'll show you real quick how that works, and then I'll go out and show you the well setup. So we only have one hydrant on the farm at the moment. We've got a decent sized well. It's 200 feet deep. It's like a 6-inch, I believe. 200 feet deep. And the sun's bright. So this is our here. And that's the produce area in there. And it's kind of centralized around the whole farm. So we just, wherever we need water, we always run it from here with hoses. And in the house, up in the ceiling, we've got a 50-gallon water tank. And then we've got another 25 or 30-gallon tank for drinking water. So we would run a water hose from that hydrant to fill those up periodically. I think that the tanks last about 10 days. So every 10 days we'd have to run water there. Also, we collect the rainwater from the roof on this side of the barn. And that's what we use to feed the livestock. And we also use that for extra water, like for washing dishes or whatever, doing laundry, that type of thing. So all that water there collects into a 300-gallon tank here, and collects there. As you see, I actually took the hose out because I'm worried about it getting too full and busting open. It doesn't freeze solid. Usually there's a just, you know, maybe 6 inches all the way around the perimeter. And I can just put a heater here and unthaw that enough around there to get water out for the livestock. But actually it's been in the 40s, so I kind of took some of the insulation off it to let it unthaw a bit more. And it was so much water melting, I took this pipe out to just catch water in there, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't want this thing to overflow and then freeze. So that's basically our two main ways of getting water. So basically, like I said, that's our two main ways of getting waters from the well, and the well's got a generator running the pump. So that's when we need water from the hydrant, we just have to start the generator. And it's actually pretty efficient. Like I can water my whole produce garden. I don't know if you've seen any of my previous videos with of my garden, but I can water that thoroughly on, you know, $3 or $4 worth of gas, half a gallon, maybe twice. So it is pretty efficient if you use it like that. And that's the other thing is, you know, if you use a generator, if for it to be practical, you can't really use the generator for everything. You know, you have to limit your use and use it in such a way that it's in such a way that it you know, you're not just wasting gas and running the generator for hours and hours on end for something you don't really need. That's, you know, then it would make the cost of living too high if you depended on the generator. So we try to just stay away from all that and live completely without, you know, any try to find solutions that do not involve a power or a lot of energy, so that it's the cost of living goes way down, and it just makes it, you know, better life. But obviously the flip side is that, you know, you got to heat your water, and, you know, you got to wash up in a wash basin, and, you know, use an outdoor toilet. So it's kind of, I guess, where your mindset is at, what you're comfortable. And obviously if you have your family, you know, and everybody's living with you, it makes it a lot easier than if you were just trying to do it by yourself. So, but that seemed to be the two main things that they really disliked about staying here, was the you know, and they say the average American home uses about 300 gallons of water a day, and that's you know, an incredible amount of water is wasted in showers. Taking a you know, standard American type shower, tons and tons of water is wasted. You don't really need that much water to wash yourself. I mean, a gallon of water should be plenty, if, you know, to wash your entire body. You know, 300 gallons a day is the average American. The average American household uses. Is just, it's crazy. I mean, for real, you know, if you're hard up for water, a half a gallon is more than enough. You know, unless you're just a really huge, fat person. And so one thing that I really do appreciate about living this way, it helps you to appreciate stuff like that, and the value of water, you know, and you run out of water, and you just appreciate it more. It means more to you, and you have less to be depressed about, because, you know, just everyday life is a blessing to have, you know, running water, and you know, a way to take a bath and so on. So I think that's kind of the lesson behind it. And for us too, it's kind of more of a religious thing, you know. It comes from more of a religious standpoint, and that, you know, our religion teaches us to be conscious of that type of thing, that, you know, God doesn't like for us to waste anything. You know, everything that we have is a gift from him, so we can't, how could we waste any of it, you know? So we just try to be as frugal as we can, and I think for a lot of people that's more difficult to, you know, you have to watch, you know, how much water you consume, because you're going to run out. You got to make it last until, you know,
you can run water again, which we can do at any time. We'd have to go get more gas or whatever, but usually only run water every 10 days, other than in the summer when we have to irrigate our produce. So we just try to be conscious of our water use, just enough to get by and not waste any. And so I think it's the thought process of living like this too. It changes your whole thought process, how you think about things, and so on. And the last thing I was going to mention on this issue would be the issue of water would be laundry. Um, so with the water situation, as I explained, we try to do laundry. Right now we do it every other week. And laundry is pretty much an all-day activity. But just to save water and everything, we have enough clothes that we are able to do it every other week. And so that's something else that they took them a little bit to get used to, that we're not going to do laundry anytime soon, and you got to make what you got last. Try to keep it clean the best way you can. What we usually do is have like a set of everyday clothes, and then if we're going to leave the farm and go somewhere, then we would change and put on something a little more fresh and clean, that's more presentable. Like sometimes after doing chores I get dusty, and I just take a brush and kind of wet it down and then dust my clothes off, just to keep them clean that way, just to make them last longer. Then I can just wear the same pair of pants for a couple days in a row till they get real dirty. And we don't have a dryer. This building right here is actually we call it a wash house, or a laundry room, kind of like. It's heated with wood, and we do our laundry in there and then hang it on the line. In another video I'll show exactly how we do the laundry and give you a tour of the wash house. But yeah, and hanging your clothes on the line, sometimes it takes more than a day or two, depending on the weather. It might take 3 or 4 days. So it's definitely important to plan to have your plan to have wash your clothes before you completely run out, so that you won't run out of clothes, and so that you'll have clean clothes to wear to our service. We call it Juma, Salatul Juma, which means the congregation, like the Friday congregation. It's basically like anyways, getting sidetracked into that, but anyways, just to make sure that we got something clean to wear. And so it has a lot to do with how you think. You have to kind of think ahead and prepare for stuff, and be used to not just having everything ready at the drop of a hat. I think that's pretty much the basic underlying issue with that. And once you get a routine down, it's not that bad. Everything kind of falls into place, and it's just normal life. And you do laundry like this, so when you get down to about 4 pairs of pants left, you better do laundry, or and so it's really not that. Once you get the thing that makes it tough is, especially if you're starting out like this, is if you don't plan and you run out of clothes, and you got all these clothes on the line and they're not dry, and then it becomes more of an issue. It makes you really hate to live like this. But if you have a routine, the routine is really everything. That's what makes everything run smooth, and then you have what you need when you need it. And it's really not that bad. Another question about the laundry, I get this question quite a bit, is how does the laundry dry in the wintertime? So what happens is, what actually happens is the clothes freeze. Obviously the wringer washer wrings them out really good, like, so they're just kind of damp, not soaking wet at all. They're just kind of damp. And then when you put them on the line, what happens is on a day like today, this is a good day because it's kind of cold. I think it's about 18 degrees, so there's not a lot of precipitation in the air. And what happens is the clothes freeze, and then once they freeze, the water evaporates out of the clothes, especially if it's like you got a little breeze, and they, 3 or 4 days they'll be dry. I mean, they'll be cold, but they'll be dry. And you didn't spend actually running a dryer is another thing. People don't realize how much energy that running a dryer takes. An immense amount of energy. Anything that's got kind of a heating element like that, it's just takes a crazy amount of energy, and the more energy you use, the more cost that you're going to have to come up with. So that's just kind of a look at the water situation, and how that could be difficult for somebody that isn't used to it or just starting out. These are some ideas, and you don't have to do, we do it, but it gives you some idea of what to look for. You might think of a better way of doing it yet, but this way for us is just efficient, and it's cost efficient for us, and it's more traditional, what we're used to doing already, and we have the resources to do it. So it's something we enjoy, and hopefully we can share with other people too, if they want to learn from us or whatever.